The Real Estate Story with Adrian Butera.
Hi everybody and welcome to The Real Estate Story. Once again, I'm excited and delighted to be coming to you live from my daughter's bedroom, my current studio here in Williamstown, broadcasting The Real Estate Story, and I've got a fabulous episode for you all today. I've got some special guests coming to you from around the globe, coming to you from around Australia, and it's just one of those special stories where I've tapped into some great networks and friends and organisations within the real estate industry and fraternity worldwide. So thank you all for joining us on Facebook Live. Don't forget to subscribe to our iTunes, The Real Estate Story podcast. We'd love to see you there. For those on Spotify, welcome. We've got an amazing amount of listeners now, just about to hit the 1,000 downloads, which I'm just blown away with the appetite that everybody's got. Of course, we're in stage 4 lockdown here in Melbourne, but we're making do and doing just fine. But thank you for your support right across the world and Australia as well. And Victorian agents truly standing together. So thank you for that. But before I get into my guests today, I'd like to give you a quick story. This story dates back a handful of years when I was picking up. It was the very first time, second time I should say, we were having a FIABCI student come across and stay at our home. Vivi was coming across from Germany, and I knew I had to go pick her up, and she was arriving on the Melbourne Cup weekend. A weekend which traditionally I go away camping in the Victorian High Country. It's one of my true delights to get away and get away from not the world, but just get away into the high country, into God's country, as many people call it. I'd stacked my car to the hilt. I'd had all my camping and adventure gear on the roof of my four-wheel drive, and of course I was on my way to the airport. About halfway there, I realised, hang on a second, I'm not going to fit in the airport drive-through car park. I'm not going to be able to pull up anywhere with all that gear on my roof. She's going to think I'm weirdo in this four-wheel drive, loaded and ready to go up into the high country. So fortunate for me, I managed to get some temporary parking in the Mercedes-Benz car park, the Mercedes-Benz dealership there at the airport. And they were very kind enough to take me in a limo to the arrivals gate, international arrivals. God knows what our international student thought, me rocking up in a limo, then being picked up by that same limo, taken to the Mercedes-Benz dealership. I think it's one of those great stories and great segue into my guests here today. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited and once again delighted to welcome our guests here today. I'm going to introduce them, put them all on the screen. Now, I'm not sure how they appear, but firstly, I'd like to introduce Chris McGregor. Chris is an estate agent. He's from just out of Hobart. He's also the Vice President of FIABCI, which is the International Real Estate Federation. I'd like to introduce Titia Haagsma from the Netherlands, who was one of those students that came across to Australia, and Vivi Goeckeritz from Germany, also one of those students, and that's the student there that is part of that story. They're no longer students, though. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Adrian.
Now, before I go to the internationals in the room, Chris, tell us a little bit about FIABCI. Give us an insight into FIABCI, what they do. They're global and they've been around a long time.
They've been around for about 69 years, Adrian, and we've got now 70 member countries all around the world. Recently, we got Iran, Vietnam. We have about 48 national and multinational chapters involved. We have 90 national associations, 95 academic public institutions, and we've got 2,300 regular members around the world, with over 1 million associate members, involved with 40 professions, and we're like I said, located in over 70 countries. It's quite large.
And
what office is in Paris.
What's the purpose of FIABCI? I mean, I know they run conferences, might not be happening at this moment, but traditionally conferences, exhibitions, opportunities to learn. Give us a few other insights into FIABCI.
FIABCI does a few things. They do the International Exchange Student Program. They do the Prix d'Excellence Awards every year, where we judge the world's best new properties and with best new hotels, high-rise, low-rise, urban plan, we do heritage, and every year at the Congress, which is held in May, this year it was meant to be held in the Philippines, but it was done by Zoom this year. And then they're judged where you get the gold award or the silver award. And one of the benefits of winning the Prix d'Excellence, an example where one of our members had a high rise in Malaysia where he won the gold, and the apartments automatically went up by about 30% in value and sold very quickly because they were seen as world's best. So it's a very, very prestigious award to win a gold or a silver Prix d'Excellence award around the world.
And Chris, have you travelled the globe, being as part of your role as vice president? I imagine you've clocked up a few frequent flyer miles over the years.
Yes, and it's been a wonderful experience. I got involved in 2005 by one of your fellow colleagues in Melbourne, Philip Webb, who you know very well. And he actually put a membership form under my desk and then just filled it all out and told me that he sent me the bill. But I'm really pleased he did. So my first Congress was with in Thailand, and that's where I got to meet Robin Waters, who you know very well as well.
Yes.
Who since then has been world president of Australia, or of FIABCI, of course. It's the second one from Australia. The first one was John Gregg from New South Wales. And since then, I've been to places I never thought I'd been to. I've been to Cyprus, Luxembourg, Andorra, Barcelona, Spain, London, the Americas, Panama, Mexico, Asia.
Goodness.
All those places. It's been just incredible.
You've clocked up some serious frequent flyer miles there.
Yeah, and met some great friends, Adrian. Great friends.
I bet you do, and I'm frequently reminded in this industry, particularly through COVID, on how important those relationships are. As you get to come back to people, you get to tap into those networks and relationships. Titia, can we start with you? First of all, what's the time in the Netherlands right now?
It's 5:30, around 5:30, so really early.
Really early. So we're incredibly grateful that you've taken the time out of your day, even though it's the first half of the day. You've got a newborn, so there's a chance you're dealing with that. So that's great.
Yeah, that's okay.
Titia, tell us, how did you come across FIABCI, and what was your journey?
Well, it's been a while. It was 2007, I guess. And I was studying in Spain at that moment. And I think I got in contact with FIABCI with another student. She told me about the organization. And while I was in Spain, I was already planning my third year of an internship. And she told me about being across the world and getting to know other real estate companies. So she told me about the FIABCI, and then I got in contact with the organization. And I remember that they had at that time a congress in Amsterdam, so I got to know also other members of the FIABCI around the world. So that was really nice. I was just volunteering over there, but that was really good. And while I was over there, they organized for me a few places around the world that I could choose of. So I thought it was Malaysia and Australia, like Sydney, Canberra, and Melbourne. And well, when I saw your story, I was thinking, well, I have to go to Melbourne. So yeah, that was the first experience of FIABCI. So I just had one contact of FIABCI. I remember the hair of the Sir Zelstra, and well, they helped me to get this internship and the tickets and everything to go abroad.
Yeah, there you go. And you came to Melbourne, and of course the way we know each other is that we saw your application, and it was at a time in our life where Dee and I said, let's have a look at applications, let's consider it. And when we saw this come across our desk, we thought, well, this is a chance to have a student stay in our home, and we'd really learn. It was a two-way learning street, which was great.
And I remember we only had like contact in email, so no Zoom or anything. So we never saw each other before. So yeah, that was a nice nice meeting on the airport, I remember. And well, you had a story with the limousine. I remember that I only had like the hand luggage because my luggage was still
Oh, that's right.
in London.
Yeah, yeah.
So you said, well, is this everything you brought for 5 months? But
There
yeah,
you go.
that was, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Now, Vivi, before, and I'm going to, we'll elaborate and ask a few more questions, but Vivi, let's talk about your involvement. How did you come across FIABCI? I know your father was and still is, partly in real estate, but how did you learn about FIABCI coming from Berlin?
Well, it's quite similar to Titia's story. So I heard the first time about it like in uni, and one of my friends, she actually had a presentation about FIABCI, and I studied real estate management in Berlin. And yeah, so my friend went to America with FIABCI, and I thought, oh, I want to do the same. That sounds amazing. And so she connected me with FIABCI, and then I got my work in a real estate company at the moment with my dad, so I got him involved as well. So we both became a member, and then from there they connected me then with you, Adrian, and they said actually. So I just sent them an email and said, "Do you have anyone in Australia looking for an internship?" Yeah,
So
actually, Adrian.
at the time, would you have just gone anywhere in Australia, or did you focus in at the time in Sydney or Melbourne?
No, I actually sent out heaps of applications like to Queensland because I thought it's like nice for surfing. It's like could go diving there, and but no one really replied. So I was like, it didn't really work. So FIABCI was then just the way to go, and
Yeah.
we just sent a few emails back and forth, and like I think we never spoke on the phone, and sent a photo, and was like a similar story. Like
Yeah.
at the airport, it's like, is that you? Yeah.
It was surreal because it was a build up almost via email and just
Yeah.
communicating that way and learning about each other. Chris, let me ask FIABCI. They obviously still do this. It might not be happening during these COVID times, but the internships are a big part of the role of FIABCI.
They're still doing it. They had for this year for the Scholarship Foundation, they had the deadline for one was March 15 this year, and the next one for applying is 15th of September. So they're obviously still getting out there and trying to do that. But one of the situations we have struggling with sometimes is having a host to be able to take them on, and that's when that particular time I spoke to you and asked if you're because I remember you supporting one months before. And you're absolutely delighted to do it again. So I've got probably one of these girls here, but so it's people like that really do assist this program where they can take someone on. And I've taken on a couple myself as well. One was a great experience, one not so well. But the chap that we got was from Luxembourg. And since that relationship, I've been to Luxembourg and stayed with his parents.
Fantastic.
His parents have been out and stayed with us in Tasmania. And I got a lot more out of that than everybody got a lot out of it, which was great. So I really do encourage it.
Yeah, that's so good to hear. And I know both Titia and Vivi would encourage us to go to their home cities, absolutely one day. And we will. As soon as I can get out of this bedroom in this house, perhaps I can put that on the agenda. So Titia, what have you gone on to do in real estate or property? Where has that led you? Did you leverage off your experience through real estate with us and do something greater?
Well, when I came back, I still had to go to school, so I was in my third year, and I finished in 2010. And after that, I got to work at a real estate agent, first in communications and in marketing. Because I remember that the marketing in Australia was really big. We always had only the sign for sale, that's it. And when I was in Australia, there was like big signs and pictures, and it was really big. So I was impressed by that. And I also remember what was it, when like open listings or
open homes. Yeah.
And well, that's different with us. So when I came back, I just brought that into the Dutch real estate. And I think after 7 years, I became an agent as well, but only in new buildings. So big projects with homes that had to build.
Yes.
And I did that for 3 years. And now I am still in real estate, but I'm working for a developer. I remember that once I went with you to a developer and you told me, well, you're going to have to be a developer one day or working at the developer, or you have your own bookshop. But it's
Fantastic.
it's working at a developer. So I'm doing that now for 3 years.
Great.
And
are you selling? Are you still in marketing? What's your role there?
now I'm developing.
Okay.
So I have the contacts with the architects, the builders.
Okay.
So I got my own projects, and sometimes it takes a few years, and sometimes it takes a few months. But this is my first week again, so I have to
Fantastic.
get back after maternity leave.
Yes.
But it's great that I have my experience in Australia, like a different way of marketing, a different way of real estate, and bring that back to Holland. So yeah, that's really nice, and I'm still glad I'm still in real estate.
Good on you. I have this vague memory, Titia, of an auction that I conducted for a vacant block of land, and I feel like it was one of those rare times that I was the only agent. Now, any agents listening today, I would never say do an auction on your own. Always have a penciler, always have other agents there. But I was on my own for some unusual reason. But you were there, and I think we just faked it, and you just became an agent for that day. Do you remember that?
I remember that was my last day.
It was your last day. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
It was a good memory because
I think a good sale. I remember.
It was a good sale. It was, and I remember it sold well. It sold very, very well.
Absolutely.
Well, that's pretty good advice coming from one of the best auctioneers in Victoria.
That's right. Yeah, just make it work no matter what. That's the advice. Vivi, let me go to you. Obviously, I told the story of when we met at the airport, and I've introduced you as coming from Berlin and being in Berlin, but actually you're not in Berlin anymore, are you? Tell us, give us a quick insight into your journey with FIABCI and what's happened since.
So I was here for 4 months for internship. That's how I started, and I did work for Compton Green and also lived with Ian and Adrian as well. So that was like the perfect little mix of like having the work-life balance and get to know the Aussie life. And through my internship, I went through all the departments. I went through like property management, sales, and then marketing as well, which I love. And I also got to know the whole real estate world, and I fell in love with auctions. Like, it's just like, we don't have them in Germany. Like, we have only private sales, and it's just like theater auction. It's just like a theater. It's just like the atmosphere there. So I still go today to auctions if I see them. So, I took, like, after my internship, I went back to Germany and took all the knowledge and wrote actually my bachelor thesis about it. That was like great experience, the whole process.
So you went back to Berlin.
But mainly like
finished your study.
I finished my study. I came back here, and there was another reason why I came back, because I fell in love in Australia.
How beautiful.
One of the sales agents. 7 years later, I'm still here, and I have 2 beautiful boys now, and I'm still working at Compton Green.
There we go. So it's again a lovely story, and I think part of that international relationship, and I think of why we got into it. Dee and I knew back then that we would learn from Titia in that experience. It was completely new to us. We'd never taken on an exchange or an internship ever before, but to know that we could take a bit from the Netherlands, take a little bit from Titia and her experiences, and take a little bit from Vivi and her experiences, but we certainly gave back, and it was a genuine exchange, a cultural exchange. It was an exchange of ideas, and just to hear Titia say that she took things back the way we used to do it, and Vivi, hear you say the same thing. I think it's it's a credit to FIABCI and the organisation, because I know last night, if I share this with you, I was on a Zoom meeting with 70 other real estate agents from around Victoria, and we were just banding together. I dare say, whilst it was only an hour, it was a brief exchange of energy and passion, and hang in there and do good things. And I think anytime we can share information, it's a real delight. It's so empowering that we can share with you, and ladies, you both probably didn't realise it, but in fact you shared a lot with us, and you gave to our families, and you gave to our businesses. I know there's a lot of people at Compton Green, Titia. They're not all here now. They're not with our business right now, but there's a lot of people that will remember you very, very well. And what a great experience it was to be able to bring to Compton Green. And Vivi, you're still there, so that story just continues on, which is just fabulous. Just fabulous. Titia, what's the future look like? You say you're in developing now.
Yeah.
But you're a mum, you're a new mum now. What's the future look like for your family, your work-life balance, and your real estate career?
Well, it's all new, so I'm still getting used to it. Well, what I said, it's my first week back again at work, and in hours I will be working less, I guess, but I don't know what the future will bring. I probably will be staying in real estate because I really love it. There was a time, I think that's 7 years ago, I quit and I went working at a hospital in communications, but that was not a good idea.
Not the same.
I was back in, no,
not the same.
It was like 4 months and I was back again. So I think I love marketing too, as Vivi, and it's while I was in Australia, I was thinking, because of the big marketing, it's like having the feeling of a home instead of just a sign for sale. So in Holland, we have now also more how do I call it, like advertising and on Facebook, social media. It's much bigger than 10 years ago. And also at our company, it's not about the home, it's more about the place you're gonna live, and the surroundings, and like the facilities that are around the home, instead of what you're really building. And also, of course, of the how do I say that, less energy that they,
of course,
that they have
environmentally,
to use,
sustainability.
Yeah. So that's much more than 5 or 10 years ago. So, and I want to just be in that process. So I definitely will be staying in real estate. So no bookshop, no hospital.
No.
So no, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, it's great to see that we've been a part of that journey, which is great. Vivi, what's the future look like for you? Obviously a real estate career, it started off as that. Love has taken it in one direction, but you're still in real estate. You're still in, similar to Titia, you're in marketing and communications, and I throw you into all different things, don't I?
Yeah.
What do you think the future looks like?
So we definitely we're planning on staying in Australia, want to buy a house here and settle down here. So that's a sure future, staying here and grow with Compton Green. And so at the moment, I'm special projects. I'm whatever big ideas you have, I try to make them happen. And is it flying a drone, or more on marketing or technology, or who knows? I think technology is always growing and growing, and we try to keep up with it. And I'm really interested in that kind of part as well. So I think, that direction, more marketing, more creativity.
Who would have thought that we would have you registered with CASA to be our drone pilot? Who would have thought that, hey? Hey? There's our drone pilot right there. There you go. It's quite amazing. Chris, what's the future look like? It's a really big, broad question. I get it, but FIABCI, what's if you looked into the horizon? What's the FIABCI horizon look like at the moment?
Well, the new president's Florentino Diallo from the Philippines, and so they're doing a lot at the moment. Unfortunately, with Zoom and things like that, doing a lot more communication like that, but they're still trying to make the organisation grow. If next year the Congress is in Paris, and the actual date it's in May, I doubt if in Australia we're going to be able to do that, Adrian, because I think the news from international travel in Australia perspective is probably not even looking at 221, is it? It's looking more to like 2022, unfortunately.
Doesn't feel like it, does it?
We don't know.
No.
But they're still very keen. That the management board is very keen for it to grow. We've just lost Cyprus, unfortunately, but overall, the members are very keen for it to go. It's difficult in Australia because we're so big. Like Malaysia, they'll have a meeting every month with a breakfast with all their members they have there. But in Australia, it's very difficult to do that with Perth so far away, Darwin, Brisbane, things. Although we've got Zoom today, so that could change that. So we'll have a talk with the committee. Our president at the moment is Greg Young, based up in Queensland, and it's something that we may look at doing, which is actually giving me a good idea. Just by the way, girls, my mother was born in Venlo, and my grandmother was born in Dusseldorf. So how's that?
Yeah.
That's a pretty even balance there, by the sounds of things.
A bit of balance. No, it's again, FIABCI is one of those things that you get out of what you put into it. And if you've got members that are really keen to get back into it and assist, like I just can't believe how generous you were, the way you've spotted some of the people to come out there. And that takes a lot for someone to give up their home for 6 months and things like that, whatever. But again, you got great experience out of it, and so do the other people. And that's the sort of thing. And what I've got out of FIABCI is, like I went to the Amsterdam conference, and I think that was one of my favourite ones. To see homes built on water, on a concrete slab. Are they still doing that?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that was great. But each time I've got friends in 70 countries now, which I really enjoy. And I've always said, if you ever come into Australia, I've got plenty of room, come and stay with us. And they always say the same thing. But I always used to turn up. But I'm discovering now that they're starting to turn up here as well. And like when we went to Panama, from Panama, went to Mexico. The member picked us up from the airport in a big black limousine. We stayed at her place for 7 days. They showed us all around the Yucatan state, then dropped off to Texas, where the members picked us up from there, took us to breakfast, showed them all their offices. That's all the stuff that I've got out of FIABCI, that friendship with members that really want to talk about the way we do it, the way you do it. And we even learn from ourselves, from like a very professional organisation like Compton Green. You know, there's so much you can learn from that organisation. I spent today speaking to 3 different agents in Victoria just to say hello. But I know they're hurting over there. Just to say hello, talk to the principals. You know, they really did appreciate it. And I think FIABCI can offer the same things as well.
Yeah, well done, Chris, and credit to you for speaking to those agents, because some are feeling it more than others, but we're all going through it together. A bit of a cliche, but there's no better words to string together. We are all going through it together. Now, before you ladies, I let you both go. Titia's probably going to go back to bed. I want to ask, how has the COVID environment affected real estate in Holland, in the Netherlands? Titia, what has happened? Whether it's happening right now or it did happen, what can you share with us how COVID impacted the real estate industry?
Well, I think it infected like mortgages. The people are losing their jobs, so they're more scared about buying a home. But the market is so people are wanting a home, so there are more buyers than sellers. And I remember a few months ago when the COVID was really big over here, so we couldn't go out our home anymore. But right now we're just getting back to work, but still we have to get the distance of 1.5 meter, and it's still happening.
Do you have to wear a face
but,
mask? Do you have to wear no mask? No.
No. Like a few weeks I was in Germany, then we had, but here in Holland, it's not. But a few months ago, one of my projects went for sale, and we were thinking we have to do it different. So we organized a drive-through. So on the land, we put some signs with the pictures, and all the people had to stay in their car, and we gave them a bag with all the information, so they could drive through the plan.
It was like an estate, was it? Was it a housing estate?
Yeah, something like that. We never did it before, but well, you have to get creative when something like COVID got up. So that was really nice, and all the other, like to sell the house, we do everything by internet, so that's different than face to face. So the real estate agents, they also have like Zoom meetings, or now it's like you have to have the distance of 1.5 meter.
Yeah.
So, but you have to get creative when
of course
something happens like that.
Yeah. There's it's been the real fuel of innovation and creativity. We've all seen that. Vivi, what about your connections in Berlin? I know you're here now, so I know we can talk about Australia, but how do you know that COVID has affected Germany? What's happened in Berlin? Your family, Dad, how's that impacted their businesses?
So Berlin is like a big renting market. So I know from friends who are landlords, so people can't afford paying their rent anymore. So they're cutting down the rents, which hurts of the landlords. So there's one, but with restrictions, they're not as bad as we are here at the moment. So people can still work. They can still. So my dad, for example, he's working like in satellite offices in like co-working places, and so they suffered quite a bit because people couldn't go to the office for a time. So they moved out of the co-working places. So they had that's one example. But otherwise, they're wearing face masks, and there's restrictions are at the moment they can travel. They can travel.
They can get around.
They can even go to Thailand. It's like I just see their holiday.
It seems so foreign. It seems so foreign to be able to travel.
I know. It's like they go to Italy and it's all pretty much what I hear. It's pretty much back to normal at the moment. They're scared of it.
That's true.
Probably similar to Netherlands.
Yeah. It just doesn't seem fair. How about over in Tassie, Chris? How's COVID? I know Tassie's been pretty good from what I can see, certainly in the last month or so. How are you? How's the business there, and how are you operating day to day?
At the beginning, we did have to close the office. We sent some staff home, and with those restrictions, when we had a bit of an outbreak up at Burnie, the hospital there. But then for the last 60 or 70 days, we've been COVID free, and then only 2 days ago we got someone that come in from Melbourne, transport, and they've got one up at back at Burnie, but that's all we've got. So we've been basically back to normal. We did do with property management video shots through Facebook with the tenants, just going through the properties for us. We did that, and a lot of the virtual tours with the internet for property. And but it certainly restricted investors coming down from Victoria and Sydney and Brisbane, although we've got a massive amount of people trying to get into Tasmania to live because they're now seeing it as a safe place to live. And we're still not allowed to dance in the hotels, in the bars, but everything's basically almost like normal here, which has been great.
Yeah, well, that's it's a credit to the way that everybody's gone about their business. It's not a government decision. It's a collective of the community. Yeah. If you do it together, you can deal with it together. I don't think it can be dealt with single-handedly. My view is it's not it might be we can point the finger, but it's about all of us now banding together to get through this. So well done to Tassie and for giving us the insights. Ladies, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I just want to say, I know, Titia, you were worried about your English. Oh my God, how good is your English? Really good.
Thank you.
You were so good. And Viv, I know you've been nervous, but you had nothing to worry about. You've nailed it. Thank you. And Chris, thank you so much for joining us. I want to just,
Thanks, Pastor.
I'll say goodbye. It's been a great insight. Our first worldwide global episode of The Real Estate Story, and it's been the best one yet. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Adrian.
The Real Estate Story brought to you by Compton Green.
That wasn't too bad, was it?